Hello YouTube! Today I'm going to be making my own DIY bioball media. It's very simple. Very little goes into it. I started out using these drinking straws that you can buy from Walmart, Dollar General, typical party store straw. I do not like these because of these stretchy elbows. That's just my personal opinion. So these are the only straws that I could find in my area, believe it or not. So I ended up going to a gas station and I bought a box of their drinking straws. These are $1 for 100 straws. This box of 500 was $2. So the only downside is they're individually wrapped. So you gotta unwrap each straw. Not that big of a deal considering the price difference. Pop a movie in, start tearing off straw paper. Once you get that done, I grab about 8 straws. I like to use 8 straws. The size of it looks nice. Using a little rubber band here just to get started. Wrap it around there. This is just for holding it. That way it kind of gives me a better shape, a little more consistent shape. So it holds it together. Once I get them started, tap them till they're straight. Oh yeah, these are considerably longer, so you will get more cuts out of these gas station straws. I'm using 8. That gives you a nice little round pattern. If I can kind of get it here, it's not that big of a deal. But once you get the pattern that you want, this is an old soldering gun. This is going to be your biggest expense of the whole project. You might already have one. Look in your garage. Who knows? Ask your grandpa for one. This is an old Weller 100/140 watt soldering gun. I took the old tips out and then I used residential electrical wire for wiring up houses. This is just 12 gauge. This is the grounding wire out of it. I got rid of the black and white. I just used a straight copper wire. What I did to this is that I bent it to where it fit in my gun. And then I also have a 3/4 inch. So it comes up and then from here to here is 3/4 inch by 1 inch. What I also did is I ground flats on the front and the bottom. You're actually going to have to file, if you want to do this, you're going to actually have to file this on the inside with a file because you can't get your grinder in there. You're going to want to grind it once it's in the gun because it's very flimsy. Take your time. I actually used an angle grinder with sandpaper and just sanded a flat on there. That worked out very well. The grinder was too aggressive. It would just chip it and bend my wire and I'd be starting all over. So angle grinder with sandpaper, sanding down metal. I think I used 80 grit, sanded the flat on the top, hand filed, put it on a piece of wood, and I hand filed a flat on the bottom to give me a real thin piece of copper. That way I can cut faster, because if I were to use this round piece of wire, I'll be cutting basically a little bit of 1/8 of an inch. I'd just be wasting a lot of material that way, just melting it, wasting it. So you get a little bit thinner cut that way doing it. Grab your straws. Get the pattern that you want. This is the pattern I like. 8 straws seems to work the best. 1 in the center, 7 around it. You get a nice round. Pattern that way. Hold it tight to where you're all touching. This is what I call the ceiling cut. Oh yeah. First and foremost, you're gonna want to do this outside. I'm obviously in my garage. I have a fan blowing to blow the smoke away because you are just melting plastic. It's going to stink. I have my door cracked and it's December. It's 35 degrees outside. Got my little space heater going. It's very cold in here as well, but I'm not doing this in my house. It stinks and your wife and your kids will love you even more if you do this. So do it outside. Do it in your garage. Just make sure it's well ventilated. But let's get going on with this first cut. Now this is the ceiling cut. This is what I'm going to do. This is going to seal all the straws together, making it just one piece basically. This is a very thin cut here. I'm just basically going off the very front of it. You're going to want to go very slow because if you go too fast, you're going to basically pull the straws apart, and you don't want to do that. So now these straws are basically melted together. I'm going to remove my rubber band. I'm going to keep this one on here on the back to keep it so I don't have to have, I only have two hands. One's on the gun, one's in the straws, but this is going to keep it from the straws flaring out, and I'm going to be losing my shape. So now I have my shape. These are all melted together. The next cut is going to be what you're going to end up with. And like I said, I have this angle for 3/4 of an inch. So that's how long they're going to be. So I basically hold it up to my bend, and I just let the weight of the gun do the cutting. You don't have to force it. Cut it till it drops. And you can just keep on keeping on. Just keep cutting. The longer you do this, the hotter the wire will get, the faster you'll be able to go. Just keep it on. Cut after cut after cut. Whenever I first started doing this, I was using a clear plastic tubing. I was using this in theory that it would hold everything together if these straws were to break apart. But then I found out that these straws are really hard to break apart. I mean, they're stout. There's no reason. I can barely smash them, but I can't even pull them apart. I mean, I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but this is going in an aquarium, and there's going to be very little abuse to them, and I can't even pull them apart. So I just basically abandoned the clear plastic tubing. There's no reason to use that anymore. This is what I started with. I will say it does look nicer, but in theory, these will work actually probably better because there's more surface area around the straws versus just a solid round piece. Now it has actual more surface area, giving you a larger biological load for your beneficial bacteria. That is my method on how I make these. It's very simple. It doesn't take much time at all. I got $2 so far in straws. And your biggest expense is, if you don't have it, is going to be your hot knife, basically, soldering gun. You can actually buy hot knives, you can actually buy, but you're going to pay a lot more than what you are with this. This is just an old soldering gun. Take the tips out, make a new tip. I've never used a coat hanger. This is copper. I know copper is very conductive, and it's going to give you your best heat. I did try to use a stainless steel wire, and it never got hot. Not enough wattage to heat stainless steel up. It would just dissipate all of its heat before it would even produce heat at the end. But copper is the way to go. Like I said, it's very, very simple. And you're going to want to hold them together because they will come apart. That is the one thing that's good about the clear tubing, is that it does hold everything together throughout the entire process. So you might have one straw out of the 8 that might be loose, but it won't come apart because the other sides glued or melted together. So this works very well. I don't know, I mean, my face in the background, but they're pretty nice. And you can do any size. This is 8, you can do 2, you can do 20. It all depends on the size of the tip that you make. This is obviously only going to cut that much. So the bigger band of straws you have, the bigger the tip you're going to need. There's no reason to really go too big, and you don't want to go too small. So I like 8. Maybe I'll start using 10 to make this process go a little faster. 10 or 12 maybe, whatever I can fit on this tip. But that's my method on simple biological filtration media. I mean, it doesn't get much simpler than that, and it's pretty cost effective. It's going to take a long time to get a gallon of these, but in the end, it's going to be worth it. So, thank you. Please subscribe and like the video.